Welcome to the third, fourth, fifth, I don't know. We're kind of recording all of these out of order. Welcome to this episode of The Perplexing Perspective. I am your co-host, Julian.
And I'm your other co-host, Max.
And obviously, we're not alone today. This is my beautiful and wonderful and sometimes mean mother. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Melissa. I'm Julian's mother.
Yes, this is the woman that birthed and raised me. And we are here to get her perspective. So it's going to be a little interesting. It's going to be a little bit of fun. You guys will probably end up knowing a little bit too much information about me. But
we also have a live audience with Leah right now.
Yeah. Hi, baby. Hello. Jeez. As you can tell, it's chaotic around the house. That's what happens when you live with four of your best friends. Yeah. So it kind of just everybody's everywhere. I'm literally looking out and Tyler's entertaining the cousins in the backyard. But all right, let's focus up. Here we go. So, Mom, go ahead. Don't forget, this is your microphone. It keeps falling back. You might want to hold it a little bit.
Okay.
Sorry, setup's still a little awkward. I'm still broke. So it'll still be a little awkward, but we'll figure it out. But yeah, tell us about yourself. What makes you you?
Wow, we didn't talk about this beforehand. Okay.
No debriefs, just questions.
Right? Like, I was a little concerned about where you were going to go, and you just dove right in.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can hear me. I can hear me. But, okay, so what makes me me? I guess the most forefront that I wish I could tattoo on my forehead so that it would be a disclaimer to everybody is that I am a former Marine. I spent 11 years in the Marine Corps.
Thank you for your service.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And that is very much my personality. So I wasn't necessarily forged in the Marine Corps like I went in sweet and innocent or anything. But I definitely fit in the Marine Corps very well, and that exudes in my personality. If you know anybody that is a Marine, specifically not just military, but Marine in total, that is very much my personality. I'm a middle child, but I behave like the eldest. I'm Native American, and more specifically Mowa Choctaw, and you'd have to look that up to understand why that's significant. I don't know. What else? I'm a product of a single parent.
Mm-hmm. You're a mom, a Marine.
An auntie. I'm raising two of my nieces, helping raise two of my nieces.
Who are also in the audience today.
Yeah.
Hello. Hola. Yeah, you're a mom, you're a Marine, you're a personal trainer, you're a wellness specialist, you're a consultant on a personal brand, you are
operations manager for a social media influencing doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You are the whooper of ass.
Yes.
Yes. You are a lot of things.
For sure.
All these hats start to make you you, but I guess we could start at the beginning. Where are you from?
Born in Kansas, raised in Texas. Came into the Marine Corps by way of California, and then planted, I guess, in the Southeast due to the Marine Corps. We did spend a good amount of time in Texas, so I miss Texas. So from Kansas, we went to Texas and then California.
Mm-hmm. And then you spent time in the Midwest in the military because you were in
Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big 815. We're all kind of connected through Illinois in our own ways, because like Libertyville.
That's where I was stationed near
Libertyville, and then you're from Rockford.
Yeah.
We've already discussed how we're twins, basically.
Yeah.
Mom, thank you for giving birth to both of us, because then this podcast would be really boring with just me. But yeah, gosh, where are you at in like life right now? What is your progress? So we were, I know, no, we'll calm down. But for when me and Max did our podcast, we kind of talked about how he has been on this, I have no enemies. I am not going to hold hatred that I believe someone has for me instead. I explained how that pisses me off because that just makes him such a better person than me, in that way at least. And then it's just, so like, where is your journey? Where is 2025 leading you? Not necessarily financially, not necessarily physically, just where are you in your stage of life? What are you focusing on, if anything?
He's definitely a better person than me, too. Well, to be honest, it's crazy, and I'm glad you're doing it now.
Thank you.
Because, at my age, which I'm 55, and I'm having to kind of backtrack and deal with some of the bitterness and unforgiveness that I've held on, regret, and some of that bitterness and unforgiveness is towards myself and my mistakes. And so I'm having to kind of unravel some of that stuff so that I can move forward. And I think it's definitely a better deal that you're doing it now, and you're so aware that it's a thing, right? And you're trying to dust off that. So that's fantastic. But
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I would say that's what I'm dealing with is regret, and some unforgiveness that I didn't realize I had, and just like forgiving myself for making certain mistakes, and it's not comfortable.
Yeah, it's a hard path to walk for sure. Like going back to that and having to revisit that.
Yeah, but if you do it as you go.
Yeah.
If you do it as you go.
Namaste. I have enemies for sure. You know who you are.
But if you do it as you go, it's a lot easier. And I mean, you two are interesting individuals because you are at least more self-aware.
I try my best to be. Yeah. I think we both do. But thank you. I appreciate it a lot.
So, but yeah, that's where I'm at, is really trying to unravel what's been holding me back emotionally, maybe. It's very uncomfortable. I don't like it at all.
Okay. Can I ask you a question really quick, just about everything that you said? So, I think with that and like coming to this space now, like what do you feel like has been the hardest part about like unraveling some of this stuff? Like when you talk about like the regret and like that forgiveness, like that not having forgiveness for yourself in the past, like what has been like what was your turning point, I guess, maybe is the first part of that question. And then the second part of that is like, why did you realize like, you're like, oh, I really need to do this work now?
Okay. This is very interesting because Julian and I actually brought it up, is that, and my dad just turned 80.
Wow.
And but we were talking about how, God, if we just wish, not the wisdom, because wisdom makes you too cautious.
Absolutely.
But knowledge, if I had the knowledge now, then, and then the courage, right, at that same age, then I would have made better decisions. And so I think what ends up happening is that I have been limiting myself, was the starting point, is like, 55, you're like, I can't. Oh, I really can't. I really can't because I'm 55, or why I can't do it now. Right. But then, and I think that was the starting point, and then I would question it, but why? Why can't I? And that's where I started getting, not to go super deep, but getting into the subconscious, and how the subconscious sabotages you. Yeah. And so you get out there, you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to do it. And you do fail.
Right, yeah.
Because your subconscious is like, no, we know this path. Yeah. This path is unsafe and unsavory. Yeah. And I'm one of those, I don't know, what kind of thinkers, overthinkers, ruminators, whatever. And I said, okay, what is the common denominator in this repetitious outcome? And then I digest it, and that's when I've been like, well, when did that first happen? Oh shit. Yeah. Or shucks, or whatever I'm supposed to say.
No, we say sugar.
You can say whatever. We say sugar. We're not particular about that.
And then I've been going back and find where it started. And so to answer your question, it's just like I'm not where I feel like I should have been, and I've gone back to unpack why.
Fair. That's very fair. But I think to that credit though too, like with what you just said, like I think you're exactly where you need to be. And like everyone's journey is different, and like when people come to those points, I think are very different. And you might feel like you're behind, because I think you know, it's funny, like you said, like we're young and like Julie and I are doing this work like now, but like there's even points where I was like, I should have been doing this 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I appreciate that perspective a lot, but in the same breath though too, I do want to say like I think the work you're doing now is good, and the fact that you even started it is significant and means a lot, because there's a lot of people that go through life and then they'll sit on their deathbed and say, oh, I should have done that, and I never did it, and that's the regret. So like that's really cool to hear that you're doing this now, and so props to you.
Yeah, no, seriously, that I lean into that a little bit and say, well, at least now I'm doing it.
That is something. It's still significant. That should mean a lot to you, because that is like that is important.
Yeah, it is.
I don't even think it's at least anymore.
True.
Because like that's the funny part. Like we're both 23, and you have a lot more life under your belt than we do. But even though we're doing the same, well, maybe not me, but like let's talk about you and Max. I said our enemies. I'm still gonna hold on to that for a little bit.
You've done a lot of personal work though. I'm gonna give you some credit in this situation. Like in the years that I've known you since we were 20, I've seen a lot of growth. So. He's bullshitting personally.
No. All I do is swing less, alright? I don't swing first and I swing less. But it's, for me, it's like, it's interesting to see, especially you guys talking about it, because you guys are both on a very similar journey, and you both feel behind.
Huh.
Yeah, it's an interesting feeling.
You are, in her eyes, you are in the beginning, and in your eyes, you think you're you think you're way too late. He's 23, he thinks he's way too late.
Oh, that's crazy.
And how are you both, so either that is your subconscious telling you that it's too late to work on it, so just die and never work on it, and it's becoming that enemy, or it's just like, we just have this concept of it's too late to work on ourselves. It's too late to do this. It's too late to do that. Because I feel like, especially our generation is so afraid of getting older. Like we're so terrified of like, because like think of all of our music. Like all of our music. Last Friday night, tonight's the night. There'll never be another night. If we don't go to the bars tonight, they won't reopen next weekend. Like we are like so afraid of maybe not necessarily the future, but just getting to an age where life becomes realer and realer. And I think that partially has to do with the pandemic, that's partially has to do with society, but that also just might be being young, because you've always told me that like if you ever see Peter Pan, it's on site, because you had a deal that you were never going to get older.
Yeah.
And obviously
that's I like that a lot.
Oh yeah, no.
I never knew that. That's really cool.
She always, that was one thing that she always said is like she always never wanted to get older, but I feel like older has always come with this negative connotation, and I've always, like, shout out the basement, the B-side, Tim Ross, because it's always been,
as always,
it gave me this perspective. This perplexing perspective that Tim Ross was talking about. He's like, dude, I can't wait to meet who I am next year.
Yeah, I've heard him say
like, I'm 23 now. I'm still getting to know. I need to take the time to get to know 23-year-old me, because 24-year-old me is around the corner.
Yeah.
And I won't be prepared to meet him if I don't finish getting to know 23. And I think he's around your age, and he was just telling me about it. Tim Ross, yeah.
No.
Tim, if I just did you dirty, I'm sorry.
He's like in his 40s, I think.
That's what I thought that too.
Yeah.
Maybe. I might be wrong. I thought he said 50 at some point. But maybe it was someone he was talking to.
Yeah.
I will cut this, and like we will cut this if this means I can't come on the basement, or we can't come on the basement now. So whatever age you want me to input, I will. But like it's an interesting perspective. Like I'm excited to see you at 24.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see you at 56. I'm excited to see my fiance at 24. I'm excited to see the boys at 25, 26, 27. And it's like, I think I'm out of that young mentality where it's like, oh, I can't wait till I'm an adult because this sucks.
Yeah.
But like in some ways, but like I'm excited. Like next year brings so many more opportunities.
And I feel that around you guys. Like we're talking about you all staying in Montana, and it was like, oh my God, stay. Like freaking
I was
stay.
really surprised to hear that answer when Julian told me that, like from you, because I know, like, not because I think you had any ill will against us, more just because like you miss your son. It's like, I fully respect that. Like my parents see me way more than you see Julian, and even still they're like, I miss my son. Like, so I was surprised that when you were like, no, stay.
I'm like, stay.
But me and her are super independent souls. Like, so apologies if you heard the cat in the background, but me and her are very independent souls in the way of like our bond and our connection doesn't have to be right here locked in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Our bond and our connection very much has come through our words and our communication. Like, you might see your parents more. I call her more.
I was about to say, how often do you speak to your parents in a week?
I would say at most probably twice a week.
Okay.
And that's not because I don't want to talk to them. Like, I would talk to them every day.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I think sometimes like, I knew if I called every day, it would just be like, I would be like basically stretching for a conversation. Like, more of the time when I call them, it's like, I either know something that they're about to go to, and I'm like, hey, I hope you guys have a blast, just want to check in before you go do this, like, how you doing? Or it's like, I have something like fun to share, and it's like, hey, this is what I did this weekend, I thought you would enjoy the story, and that's kind of...
We have a really cool relationship. I couldn't wait to become his friend.
Yeah.
Like, we're still not completely friends. I'm still your mother. But is that we talk around the world. Like, Julian and I talk about absolutely everything. Like,
which is like funny, like little backstory. It's like, I was gonna start a podcast with her. Right. Like, we were gonna do it online, and like this podcast was gonna be me and you. And then me and you talked about it, and you were kind of like, I don't love the public eye, which is
that's very fair.
Yeah, she doesn't love the public eye.
Which is funny because I'm on all of Dr. R's.
But that's
stuff.
I feel like that's a little bit different because like they're there for your expertise.
I'm the opposite.
They're here for our personalities, and so like.
Wait, do I not have one?
No. Well,
I'm just checking.
Not what I meant. But
okay.
I mean,
don't put that on me. I didn't say that. That's not on me.
They might obviously like leave your comments down below of why you tune into this podcast, but I feel like some people will, like most people will come to the podcast because they're like, I like how Max and Julian like talk about this and They don't come to us and be like, these 23-year-olds just got life figured out, so I need to go get this is where I get my opinions. Like, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when people come to you in that area, it's like, hey, you have 18 certifications on all of these things. How do I do this?
Right.
Like, I don't think we're a how-to podcast. We're just opening up the world to different perspectives.
Right.
And so, like, that's why I think it's a little bit different. They come to you, you give them the facts and knowledge, and go home. Like, for us, they, like, maybe, hopefully, obviously, this is episode, like, 4 or 5. I'm already lost count. We
should be at 4 with this one.
Yeah, 4. Okay, episode 4. Like, I don't know, they might want to see us in more aspects. Like, we might do some stuff. I'm not going to promise anything. So I'm
but I don't like the public eye.
Right.
And I want to go back, and even though they've stepped out, the girls have stepped out, as you also asked what a caveat was for me to start changing, and I think having those two also made me look deeper into my repetitive mistakes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Julian got the brunt of a lot of things we don't even have time to talk about.
But
I had PTSD and some other stuff.
Yeah.
But I always tried to give him what I didn't, that knowledge that I told you.
100%.
I tried to, unfortunately, sometimes stuff it down his throat so that he would be so far ahead of where I was at his age.
Yeah.
And with the girls, because of the conversations I've had with Julian, I kind of backed up and wanted to understand more so.
Right. That makes a lot of
my
sense.
self-sabotage and try to prevent them from doing that.
That makes a lot of sense. I think even like to kind of relate to that, like with my parents, like because I have a younger brother.
Okay.
And like, it's interesting. I mean, we were very different kids, so we were destined to get parented very differently. But it's still interesting though, like hearing my mom talk about like things that she learned when parenting me first, because like I'm the guinea pig. Like you were. I can relate to that part and be like I was the guinea pig in some senses, and like they learned things with me, where it was like or maybe like my mom honestly probably thought things that she did with me was like great because it worked for me.
Right.
But then it came to my brother and it was like he was a completely different case. And so like what she would do originally with me, she would do with him at the start, and it would just fail.
Yes.
Right? And so like not in a bad way, but you know, it's just
No, but it's
different kids, different soul, like different
Mm-hmm.
personalities. Like that's again destined to happen. Like you're gonna learn a lot of different things from different people. But
so I've learned from most of my mistakes.
Yeah, well, it's like it's opened up interesting conversations for me and you, because I feel like a lot of kids have to wait so long to be able to go, well, this is where this bothered me, this is where, like, because like I feel like once you become sentient at like 16 and like you're like, I feel like when puberty happens and you start actually like being able to like deep everything that's going around you, you kind of, I feel like that's where you get frustrated, because then you start applying the fairness of being an adult in life to being a child, and it's this weird growth period where you're like, okay, but like all the other kids, the population, these are the rights of America, and then me. Like, one of my friends actually told me that he tried to use the Fifth Amendment to not lie to his mom about he tried to use the plead the Fifth because he was caught. Like, he knew he was caught. And she was like, yes or no, did you do this? And he goes, I plead the Fifth. And she goes, I don't give a damn. This is not a court of law. This is my house. And he was just like, but these are my rights. And she goes, you're gonna meet this right and you're gonna meet this left. You better tell me what happened. Black moms always have those sayings. Like y'all are the most creative when you're telling us how you about to whoop our asses. You always love to be like super creative with that, which love it. But
yeah, my mom was much more direct. It was more like this will happen.
Yeah, my mom was pretty direct, but it's opened up an interesting perspective because I feel like I'm able to express a lot of beefs that I had with how I was raised, and not necessarily like you were abusive or anything like that. Like, I just did it. I hated when you called down to the living room, Julian, what?
I wanted you to come up.
Say, come here. It's too extra work. Come here. Like, you just refused. Julian, what's up?
This is a universal experience you have? Okay, cool.
Yeah. I will say this. She cracks me up because when I bring that up, you mentioned how grandma used to call you in to hand her the remote. And you're like, at least I don't do that. I'm like, hey, I still got to get up from what I'm doing and come here. And I just was supposed to read your mind?
Yes.
No!
Yes, I can call them and they'll come straight down.
Aubrey!
I said I would call them.
Whatever. Alright, but the point. The point is...
Ruth! You hear the steps? Watch what happens.
You're not Aubrey.
Are we good?
No, where's the other one? There she is. Okay, point proven.
Proving a
Back
point.
upstairs.
What?
I was wrong.
What was his point?
First of all, I think it's hilarious that Leah, Estella, and then Aubrey showed up. We were proving a point about how my mom used to call my name and just be like, Joanne! I'd be like, what? Just would stop talking, and that means come here. And I was like, that's just not fair. Let them get older. Like, let them get to 15. They're gonna hit you with the what? Huh?
We're on the porch.
Oh, dang, y'all heard.
Yeah, I heard it.
You heard me, or did you hear Ruth? Did you
I
hear?
heard something. I honestly was just like, what was that? And then I just randomly followed. Yeah.
Wow.
I followed because they heard it.
I heard my name, but the screen door was open, and I was like, what do they need me for?
Oh.
Yeah.
So, okay, either way, I was wrong. Got it, cool, whatever.
Side note, I called her by her middle name is probably also why she came.
Yeah, editor. Alright. But it opens an interesting perspective because one, I can air a lot of the beefs that I've had about how you raised me, but also since the age gap is huge. Like, they're 12 and I'm 23.
Yeah.
No age gap between me and the cousins.
Okay.
And our age gap is
older
huge.
than you, too.
I get to, you get to have the perspective, like I'm able to communicate it to you as an adult
Yes.
of where they're coming from
Yes.
because we're having that same parenting experience. Well, like we both are having you as a parent, and I'm able to course correct a little bit of things a little bit of situations.
I'm trying
to
a little bit, Mom. A little bit.
Yeah. I'm trying to be professional. I'm trying not to get hit up on YouTube. But it's just like it's given an interesting perspective. It's like you're more calling like a kid perspective.
And I do call.
Yeah.
And I do ask.
It's just super interesting.
This is happening. This is how I think I'm going to handle it. And I do ask your male perspective too.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool because that's actually the same relationship I have with my mom as well. But I also recognize that that's rare.
It is.
And like, so it's cool sitting here hearing another, well, not just person, but like a personal friend of mine, like having this similar experience. And like, I'm not saying that's, again, like, it was a lot similar, like how we came into that was very similar to like, you know, growing up, I left the house and like the relationship just changed a lot too.
Yeah.
And there was just, like, you know, life just happened, and so a lot of things changed. But yeah, it's cool. Like, I like that you were just saying that too. It's like you'll call and ask Julian not just like his opinion on something, but like a male perspective, asking more like, what do you think of this entire situation? Because my mom and I both do that with each other a lot now too.
Okay.
And like, well, I think it's funny. Like, sometimes we call a lot, or sometimes we call very little, and that's okay. Like, it's more just a matter of what happens, like in life for both of us at that time. But the main time though where we really have those deep conversations is when I see her in person, and we again that's just because I see her more frequently now, and so like we'll have a lot of those conversations, or we'll be like sitting like, and I'll be sitting at their house, and my mom's like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on this? Like growing up, or like when this happened, like what did you think of this?" And like,
oh, that's good.
And yeah, it's really cool, and she started doing that a lot more recently, and I won't lie, it's challenged me a lot because I grew up not talking about that, and honestly I've talked about a lot of stuff with just a lot of other people, so it was cool though. And like she'll bring up stuff, I'm like, oh, I don't even remember that, or like she'll explain something and be like, this is what happened. I'm like, oh, my memory's so fragmented from even that moment, like, and it's so it's cool to hear that you guys have that relationship.
Yeah, same. But I think I want to note that there is not a lot of transition where kids get that with their moms.
Especially boy moms.
Yeah, son and mother, I don't think. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
2-minute warning.
Perfect.
Yeah, I do. I don't think it's as often. I'm very thankful for it, and sometimes to the point, and your mom probably feels the same way, that I'm kind of embarrassed. I feel like one of those parents where I'm like, oh my God, my son is so great. And like, you know.
I think maybe my mom did, but now she's really embraced it. She loves her boys very much.
Yeah, I say it all the time. I was like, my son is so freaking cool. Like, and they're like,
We're both lucky to have moms that are super supportive. Like us. Like, I really like, like, it's funny. Like, I was telling my mom, like, she listened to our first episode, and like, I was like, I hope like I made you proud, like with what I'm doing. She's like, hey, I don't want you to make me proud. I'm proud of you if you're doing something that fulfills you.
That's
and I've heard you say similar things to Julian
exactly.
as well. So it's like, we're super blessed to have that perspective on life.
Absolutely.
100%. And for a lot of people, that would be perplexing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, and we're gonna take a break off of that.
That was good.
Thanks, I appreciate that. We'll be back. We gotta end the video.
That's it. That's 30 minutes. Welcome back. We have taken a short break. Had honestly some conversations we probably should have had on camera, but unfortunately we don't have that much storage. But we're gonna come and start this second part with Am I the Asshole?
I think I'm a little bit more playful.
Yeah, a little bit more fun. We were vulnerable. We were deep. We'll probably get back vulnerable and back deep, but we'll see how this works.
Okay.
But
Alec, get off there.
Alec is in the window seal. There's no controlling that cat. To basically explain Am I the Asshole to you, and to anybody out there that doesn't know, basically Am I the Asshole is a thread on this site called Reddit, where basically people go to vent their situations, and they get random people of the public to decide whether or not they are the asshole. Basically situations where like maybe they don't necessarily agree with opinions around them, so they get random people on the internet to validate them.
Validate them, yeah.
Super interesting. There are some pretty wild stories that have come from it.
Which
we've either heard from other podcasts or read ourselves.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see which one you picked. I'm curious to see what you said.
Our episode with Drew was basically this boyfriend telling everybody that his girlfriend don't shower. Like, just doesn't shower.
She would shower like at most once a week.
Yeah, and they were gym goers, and yeah, it was interesting. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen that episode, go ahead and tune into that one as well. Yeah. That was an interesting Am I the Asshole, but I think I got another good one today. This one is, so I'll just read the title. We'll go through the title and we'll just go from there.
Okay.
Am I the asshole? My husband doesn't think having parents to stay should be a house buying consideration. So to translate their title, because I don't think they worded that very well, basically I'm guessing that this couple is trying to decide what type of house to buy, and the husband doesn't want to consider having a guest room for parents to come and stay by. How do you feel about that?
Oh, just based off the title?
Yeah, just based off the title. We judge a little bit around here.
I really can't judge the guy until I know her parents.
This is a little early. We should
this sometimes off the title you can just go, no, asshole. And
no, there's an option for him not to be an asshole.
I'm curious to hear how the parents are.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and see. All right, I, 41 female, live with my husband, 45 male, in a UK seaside holiday destination. We've been looking to move houses for a couple of years, and I thought we had similar considerations. We spiraled into an argument today over my dream of having a house where our extended family could come for beach holidays even while we're working. My husband is an introvert who works remotely. I am an ambivert who can only I guess she only works one day a week, WFH. I don't know what that means. I'm guessing who works one day a week. So this dream of mine would mean having a house where he could be at work undisturbed by any family who might come to stay. And I was thinking garden office or something like that. We talked about this sort of thing before, but I didn't realize he had a problem with my parents staying. He said he's fine with either of our siblings and their families staying whenever, as they'll be out in the day. He doesn't want my parents in the house while he's working. What? Oh, his parents live 5 minutes away, mine 3.5 hours. For context, my parents did walk behind him on a video call once. He was in the kitchen instead of his office, and rang the doorbell after I asked them not to when I was on another time. What? Okay. Oh, while I was gone another time. Sorry, she did not.
No, it sounds like her writing's a little spotty.
Yeah,
It's okay.
She said I had given them a key. So he says he doesn't trust them not to interrupt them. They've never gone out of their way to disturb. The few times I can recall have been accidents. He says that having a dream where my parents can come to stay whenever they like while he's... Oh, working from home. That's what WFH means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Working from home and I'm out at the office means I'm only happy when he's made uncomfortable. To be clear, they wouldn't be coming unannounced or anything like that. My example is there's a heat wave forecast and I can't take the time off, but they want to come down to the beach. So far, like, I feel like they're both very valid. Like, we're gonna go into like two main parts of what their argument. I feel like they're both very valid because from what it seems like, now these are only the times that she can remember, but it does seem like they're not very conscious of his job.
Okay.
And like walking behind him on a video call, ringing the doorbell after they were asked not to. And she says they never gone out of their way. You don't have to like intently disturb somebody while they're working from home.
She's giving too many details, which makes me feel like she's making excuses.
I could partially agree with that, and also to kind of bounce off of what Julian is saying too. There's like aspects of it where I get it's like, yeah, it's family, like they should be welcome when you're home and everything like that. And like I know that they didn't do anything intentionally though, but like disruptions are disruptions, and like especially if you're in an environment or need to be in an environment where it's like you need no distractions, you need nobody like coming in and like disrupting your workflow. Like I can totally understand where he's coming from with that.
Yeah, me too.
And it's like, again, like they didn't do it on purpose, so they're not like inherently trying to be rude or disrespectful, but it's like, it's still gonna be problematic for him no matter what, because it's obvious that they're just too aloof to like fully get everything that he needs to do. And so, unless they're like sat down to like, you can't, like these are your parameters, which might be the healthiest option overall.
Right. I agree.
It's also like, no disrespect too, but like, they're also older, and like sometimes older people don't want to do everything that you tell them to do.
100%.
Correct.
I think I do like her idea of the garden office. If he had an office where he could just lock the door and he just stayed in the office and they just can't literally have no, even if they wanted to, can't disturb him. I think that would be. I think that would be better.
Yeah.
But let's see. So they have.
Okay, I want to hear.
Yeah, the two main things we're arguing about, and the reason I am here are one. I might sneeze.
Was.
Thank you. He said buying a house with other people in mind is stupid. I agree. I shouldn't have said it was priority and have apologized. I clarified that I want us to find a house that's perfect for our needs and then share it with the people we love. We're fortunate to live in a holiday destination, and I'd love to share that good fortune, particularly with my parents while they're still alive. They're in their 70s. I feel like that's very valid.
That is valid.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, that's 100% valid.
Yeah, I'm buying the house. So, in all honesty, my needs are met, and if we can get all my needs met with a little extra space, then perfect. Number two, he can't understand why I want my parents to stay while I'm out working in the day. That it's not really spending time with them. He thinks my reasoning is irrational and that if I tried to explain to anyone, they agree with him. So here goes. While most of the time I can take days off when my parents visit, they're retired and could visit more often. It's a long drive, so them coming for a longer stay less often makes it more worth it for them and less tiring. A week instead of a weekend, not 1 weekend every month or so. For me, it would give the illusion of them living nearby for a while. I know this part sounds silly, but I like the idea of them being around after work. I'd rather see them all day, but seeing them after work a bit more often would make it feel like they were closer by. And that's it. That's all we got.
Okay. I think there's more to it. If his parents live 5 minutes away and he's cool with her siblings.
It's got to be something with the parents. I'm trying to understand.
And not hearing his side of it, I can't directly say. And then she backtracked from their argument because she said in their argument it was priority.
Right.
That there was extra room, and then when he argued it, she's like, oh, no, not priority. It's just kind of important. It's on my wish list versus priority. But if her parents are 70 years old and they're not complete toxic people,
right?
Bruh, suck it up. It's her parents.
I mean, yeah, it's like you kind of signed on to this. You're also a 45-year-old man. It's like,
you
can kind of figure it out. I do agree with that.
And you do marry into a family. That's one thing. That is also now your family. Yeah, that's not her parents and my parents. These are the parents.
Correct.
They're both parents. They're both mom. They're both dad. Yeah. You marry into a family. And for me, I agree with y'all. There's something from what I get from it, there's something that happened between him and their parents, because obviously he rocks with his parents. He rocks with everybody else except these two people.
And they were following behind him on a video call?
They walked behind him.
Oh, walk behind him.
Yeah,
Got it.
which,
Got it.
depending on the Zoom
whatever.
call, it's okay, whatever. But if I feel like those are the bullshit reasons that he
Yes.
doesn't want them there,
Yes.
and there are real reasons.
Yeah, I think he was given some lighter-hearted answers than probably what he's really thinking.
Because what it sounds like, let's say everybody in here, like the husband and the wife are both rational, intelligent 45-year-old people. There is something that he's not saying because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, of
No,
course,
it
why
doesn't
shouldn't
make sense.
Why shouldn't they be able to stay the night? Because they're driving 3.5 hours.
And they're
Absolutely.
70.
And they're 70. You can't expect them to drive 3.5 hours home 8 o'clock at night. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So logically, that makes no sense. And if he has his own office, he can lock them out. So that makes a lot of sense. There are very viable options of why they should be able to stay there. I think there's like hidden beef between the parents that he's just not ready to open that can of worms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'll say this too. It's like, and this is just from my experience. Like, you know, like I've grown up like in my home where it's like, you know, my brother and I had space, like growing up as kids, like we had our own space. But like since we've left though too, it's like, and our parents have looked at different properties. Like one of their priorities is always having space for their boys to come home.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you flip that situation for my brother and I, like let's say next 5-10 years, like we really figure our stuff out, we're in a position where we can buy a home and everything. There's no way you're not telling me that I'm not going to look to have some extra space to bring my family in. Like unless, like, it's like we've been saying, like, unless there's something where there is an actual relationship issue with the parent-in-law or parent in general, like, that's the only reason you would not be looking to have that. Otherwise, that's a no-brainer, I feel like, to anyone else.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Obviously, like, I would buy the house that, like, now, if the difference was between, like, the perfect commute, the perfect place for the kids, the perfect school for the kids, guest room,
that's an entirely different story.
I'm going with this house, but that's not what that's not the conversation
There's not
that
the
they're having.
conversation.
Because they already know the location, they like the location. But I also agree with him, like, in a way, like, I always am going to want a guest room. Because I always want people to come visit. I've always wanted my house to be, like, the destination spot.
I agree with that.
And so, like, I'm going to look for a guest room. But at the same time, like, if I'm working from home and stuff, like, I feel like you can plan around this. Like, there's so much easier options.
Yeah, there's no cut and dry.
Nah,
Yes.
there's
not enough information.
There's something happening that either he's not telling his wife or his wife's not mentioning.
Yeah, and I would say she's skirting and he's not definitely an asshole.
No.
So,
Now, if there is no hidden beef,
then he's an asshole.
grow the fuck up. You're 45.
That's what I'm saying. I would agree
You're
with that.
45, dude.
Yeah.
Like, there's a good relationship with them, and like, there's actually no problems. It is like, I can understand being introverted, but there's also a level of like,
Yeah.
brother, like sometimes you make some sacrifices for family.
100%. And like, yeah, they're staying a week, but if they're staying a week at a time, that means like a week, month or two, a week, month or two. Like, now if they're staying every other week, conversation, don't get me wrong, I love my future parents-in-law. Every other week.
It's a lot. That's inherently a lot.
Yeah, start paying half the rent. Like, you're here. You're here all the time.
Yeah.
That's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't say anybody is the asshole or anybody isn't the asshole in that situation necessarily.
Right.
I do have one more.
Let's do it.
How much time do we have left? Okay, we got 13 minutes. Oh, we're gonna skip the title part. I'm just gonna read through it and then we'll talk at the end. Okay. Oh wait, this is an update. Crap. Okay, hold on. Okay. Am I the asshole for telling my parents I can't wait to move out and get away from them? Sorry if I sound kind of whiny about this. You probably are going to if you start the post about like that. I'm really tired of everything. So my parents have me sorry. My parents have me 16 male, my brother J 13, my sister L 11, sister S 9, and brother T 6. Yeah, I would want out too.
Yeah, they have a military unit.
Yeah, exactly. That is an army. My parents are expecting another kid in like a month. They treat me so differently. I had chores from a young age. I was babysitting my siblings from a young age, 7 technically when I started, and I was left in charge when when we go shopping because I had to make sure my siblings didn't run off or anything or I had to hold their hands. They never had to do any chores. My parents don't ask them to do anything, just me. When I say no, they'd get mad and make me. I'd ask why I had to do stuff and not my siblings, and they said my siblings were younger, so it made sense. This continued, huh?
Bless you.
Thanks.
Cough into the mic, please. My parents don't ask them to do anything. This continued for years, and as they had more kids, nothing changed regarding chores. My siblings won't even throw stuff in the trash. They throw it on the floor or leave it behind for others to pick up after them. I resent having it on my shoulders when I was younger than all of them when I was first assigned chores. My parents and I have this tension between us since they announced mom's pregnancy. The closer mom gets to giving birth, the worse it gets because I put my foot down more and they told me I don't get to say no to them. Then a few weeks ago, I ended up in the hospital and diagnosed with a heart condition. It was scary as fuck. And the house fell apart while I was in the hospital. Literally, it was disgusting by the time I came back, and it wasn't because they were so focused on me. My parents only came in when the doctor was calling or when they were asked to. The rest of the time I was alone. A social worker was assigned to us after my hospital stuff, and she heard all that was going on and said she'd help us. She said she would make sure we had enough so it wasn't on me as much. But they're not listening to her, and I was expected to get back to normal. None of my siblings cared when I got out. They still tell me to do stuff for them. I told the social worker my parents were ignoring her, and she told me to be prepared for nothing to change because they won't remove me for anything going on. My first night back, my parents went out and left me babysitting. The house was still filthy, and I'm refusing to do it because it would take forever. My parents keep saying if I'm doing better, I should be back to normal, even though I was told to take it easy for a couple months. Yesterday, they were complaining that the baby could come at any time. The house is disgusting. I said it wasn't my fault. They told me it's my job to take care of this stuff. I told them they should have all of us doing some chores so it's not a single person. Things continued, and then I told them I can't wait to move out and get away from them when I'm 18. That they're shitty parents who don't deserve to have kids. They were like, what the fuck do you mean you're leaving when you turn 18? Then they asked where I'd go and why I'm being such a brat. At first, kid was just whining, and then the heart condition changed a lot of shit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let somebody else talk. Go ahead. Y'all go. What do you think?
I'm gonna let you start.
I find it very hard to believe that it is as drastic as the child is making it sound, and a social worker hasn't at least filed a report. Now, granted, they won't take him out of the house for just having to do the chores. But you got all them damn kids, and you have one child doing it, and that's not. And most parents that behave like that do abuse that child. So you've got, like, the dynamic is off to me. Now, are the parents dependent on that kid? Possibly. But it sounds to me like the kid takes on. Like, okay, I was similar to that.
Right.
I love y'all. I love y'all. But my siblings did not clean, and my mother did not clean the same way I cleaned.
Right.
And if I were to tell y'all that in that wording, it would sound pretty freaking drastic.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's not that bad. Like, to me, filthy.
Yeah, you're filthy versus my filthy versus his filthy.
Is perspective.
No, perspective.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, dropping stuff on the floor sounds really, there's stuff on the floor. There's probably stuff on the floor, but that doesn't, like, in our minds, we go, like, there's trash all over the floor, and there's blankets, and there's food, and there's all that. Maybe not. Maybe it's just not organized and neat and everything's back in its place.
Right.
And not doing something versus, like, I coughed Leo is what I did, is when the kid was talking. I said, Leo. Because of, you're my second son, sort of.
Yeah.
But because you take on more responsibility and you can't handle the house being messy, and everybody else, Scott Hazen, is sitting around waiting till you get it done, doesn't mean they didn't have chores. It means you didn't wait till they got their chores done.
Absolutely.
So you did it. I did that for years and found out that was his freaking plan. This is the brother right underneath me.
Yeah.
He knew if he sat down, even though I would be mad, I would do his chores. So I don't know that it's as drastic, but either way, as long as he's in that effing house, he can have those thoughts and he can have those feelings. But you would never, in my house, you can express yourself in the right moment, the right way. It may still get the face, which is the I don't care face. But you will never talk to me like that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but I get a little frustrated. I respect, first of all, respecting your parents no matter what.
correct.
That I completely agree.
That I completely agree with. We know somebody who relies on their oldest to basically be the mom. And in that situation, when they're in college,
Okay.
they got the youngest dressed, fed the
And I've
youngest,
seen
got
that.
them to
Yep.
school, took care of the house, cleaned the house, did everything, and the mom lays up in her bedroom the entire time and does not contribute. I lived there for 2 months.
Yeah.
Does not contribute. And then as the eldest makes steps to go and live their own life and move out, then starts to become manipulative, emotionally
Yes, and
abusive.
it can be that way too.
And so that's where I'm like, because I know that perspective, I'm just like,
And this is really where y'all's podcast title comes in
Yeah.
to a huge play.
because you can't, because unless you're living there,
Yeah.
unless we get them on the podcast, which if that's your Reddit, dude, hit us up. I'm not saying we'll fly you out, but like if you come, we'll like let you be on the podcast. But like,
But that's interesting because I'm seeing it kind of from a kid's, like being that child that had particular standards and didn't think that my siblings lived up and my mother lived up to those standards. And I did pop off at my mouth and my mom, and she backhanded me in the mouth. You know, like, I mean, but, and then you're saying it because you've seen a different perspective and you've seen that happen. That's interesting.
because I've seen, I would almost say that situation. Almost that many kids in the house. And I'm not saying the other kids don't contribute, but it's like almost like an everybody hates Chris moment.
Yeah.
Where it's like, go do them damn dishes. No. Boy. And it's like one of those where it's like Drew and Tanya are, from Everybody Hates Chris, are sitting there watching TV. Why can't they dry the dishes? Or like put them on the rack or anything like that? Why can't we work together? Why is it Chris do the dishes? Why is it Chris take out the trash?
Yeah.
And that's one of those situations where it's like, I also have a problem with like the eldest becoming the, in a perfect world, third parent.
Yeah.
Yes, you set an example, but you are still a child. You're not, you shouldn't be raising a kid.
As well. Like I do think like if you take on the responsibility of a child on purpose or on accident, it is overall your responsibility to parent and look after that child. So a large portion of those responsibilities should fall onto you. And to rely entirely on another child of yours that is also your responsibility to handle the things that you also took on as a responsibility is like inherently problematic
It
in
is.
my mind. So I agree with that
Yeah,
perspective.
me too.
The one thing that I think that really stuck out to me, that I was like, I initially agreed with both of you, where I was like, I think this kid is 16 and maybe doesn't have the perspective of what it's like outside of his house, and like, you know, antsy and want to get out, like more like that desire, like ready to fly the nest, which like I think you and I can relate to that, and most everyone in their life can relate to that at some point.
Yeah.
But with that though, like the actual health problem happening and then still being like so reliant,
Yeah.
it's like that to me was like, oh no, okay, he actually is making a lot more sense in this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
And that's because like, especially with like heart, like, I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, but like there's a lot of correlations between stress having
Absolutely.
a very, very like, stress is very easy to cause issues physically.
Correct.
And, like, especially
Correct.
with heart issues and everything, there's so many cases of like people being overly stressed and then having heart attacks and things like that. So like if he's 16 and then goes to the hospital for a heart condition, and it's like, then you're stressing him out after he had this like a serious medical event where if something else happened, like he could easily die.
Correct.
Right.
And it's like, that's where it's like, okay, pump the brakes. This is where
Yeah.
like you actually need to do some analysis of like what's going on. And I know she's pregnant too. That doesn't make that easier, but it's
where's
also like,
where's the
there's
dad?
also
Exactly.
5 other kids.
5 other kids. The dad.
The dad's present. There's a 13-year-old and 11-year-old. They can
They're
figure
right. Yeah.
they
They're
can figure out how to do some laundry, how to turn on a vacuum, and do some other
Correct.
stuff.
Correct.
Like, so that's the part where I'm a little like,
Yeah, that got me too.
that got
Yeah.
me. Like
The
that
heart-
part.
at
That part,
first I
I
was
was like, you don't play with health, and the
Yeah.
fact that they were so adamant of being like, you get back to it, like no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm a little like, that could actually endanger somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
that's
the heart problems at a 16-year-old that aren't genetic,
insane.
which
That's
we
insane.
don't know.
He didn't specify, so
But
who knows?
If they're not genetic,
Could be in a large heart, it could be whatever.
yeah.
Like,
But if it's not genetic, that is environment.
Yeah.
yeah.
And making a kid at 16 have a coronary, like what are we doing?
I also don't know many kids that have a heart issue, like pop up randomly.
Yeah.
And also have a social worker pop up after that event
Correct.
too.
Yeah.
So like, I do agree with you,
Yeah.
like on some of the aspects of like respect your parents, like respect their rules and everything.
Yeah.
But there's also aspects of it as like, yes, they can't pull him out of the house because there's no direct abuse. So like, there's probably over exaggerations in what he's saying, but there's
Yeah.
also
But-
there's enough of a case to be said to where if a social worker got present after he had a heart condition, something is wrong.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
To an extent,
I
something.
I have to look at it that way.
That's-
Like,
yeah.
I have to like back up and be like, oh, okay.
It's
Right.
tough because you want to say both sides, and like I agree with
Yeah.
both sides, but it's also like looking at it from the other side. It's like you don't want to also discount a kid who just had a heart issue.
Yeah. And if I put myself in his shoes,
I'd be
right?
stressed too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Oh.
I could see it. Cause so if the kid's not an asshole, I'd still pop him in the mouth, but
Yeah.
he's not an asshole.
Yeah, you don't get to call me a shitty parent, but at the same time,
I mean,
But-
he might have a valid point.
he might have a valid point, but time, place, and respect.
Yeah.
Mom, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us on
Yes,
this
thank you
very much.
podcast.
Thank you.
Is there anything you would like to plug? Anything at all?
Yeah.
Okay, don't talk to her, don't find her,
Yeah.
leave her alone.
Out of the public eye.
Yeah, out of the public eye. Approach her at your own risk. Thank you guys so much for joining us on another episode of The Perplexing Perspective. Please make sure you like, hit that notification bell, subscribe, leave in the comments something that you would like us to talk about in the future.
Please, please, please. We really want that.
Yeah, like please, honestly, I kind of want to start our own Am I the Asshole thread. So please comment different topics that you want us to talk about. Maybe not necessarily Am I the Asshole or just something you want to hear perspective on. Please follow us on the socials. We're The Perplexing Perspective everywhere.